Hi, I'm Bianca and I am a backend engineer here in Humanitec, and today I'd like to show you how to use our Platform Orchestrator to deploy into a private cluster. We are going to use the Humanitec Agent, which provides a way for the Humanitec Platform Orchestrator to access private endpoints. It is supposed to run in the customer infrastructure, communicates with Humanitec, and acts as a tunnel between these two. So let's start preparing the environment for installing the agent in an Azure Kubernetes cluster and making it able to establish a secure tunnel with Humanitec. To do it, we need an RSA key pair to establish a WebSocket connection with Humanitec, as our agent will sign the request to create the tunnel with a private key, while the Platform Orchestrator will authenticate the request using the related public key. So let's start creating the private key and then the public one. Now that we have a public one, we are ready to register an agent under my organization in Humanitec, associating it to the private key we just created. I have set up some environment variables to make this more handy. So with the Humanitec CLI, we have just created this Azure agent, associating it to the private public key we have just created. Now we want to have the agent running in our AKS cluster. To do it, we can use some Kubernetes manifest. We have a manifest for the namespace, a Humanitec Agent, and a manifest for the configuration map, which allows us to specify which are the orgs allowed to use this agent, a Kubernetes secret, which hosts the private key that the agent will be using, and finally the deployment namespace, which specify an image publicly available into the Humanitec registry. So let's apply this manifest to our cluster. We can now check if the agent is running successfully in our cluster and if it has been able to establish the connection with Humanitec. And this is likely the case. So now that we have the agent running, we can prepare the application that we want to deploy through this agent. So let's create the application itself, the application agent app. And also we want to prepare the resource definition that Humanitec will match to deploy this application. We have a resource definition. We plan to have a very simple application. So we just need a resource definition for the agent that will be using the same ID that we used when we registered the agent, so the Azure agent, and a resource definition for the cluster. As you can see, the cluster is a normal Kubernetes AKS cluster, but we don't specify any load balancer, as the cluster is not supposed to be reached through a load balancer, but we specify, as in the secret part of the inputs, the agent URL, which is the output of the resource definition we just looked at. To be sure that the Humanitec is going to match the resource definition that we have in mind, so this cluster definition, the agent resource definition, we have to specify the same criteria for the both of them. So let's create the resource definition applying the environment variable, and let's apply this resource definition to my organization, again with the help of the Humanitec CLI. Now that everything seems to be ready, we just want to deploy the application. The application will be very simple. It's just a busybox image. So let's use score to deploy the application. We can now check in our cluster if you can see something happening into the agent. Yes, there is something that is happening. These are the logs which confirm that Humanitec and our cluster are communicating through the agent, and so hopefully very soon we will be able to see this application. That is the app that we just created with Humanitec through our agent. We have some logs here, and we can also ask confirmation to Humanitec if the deployment succeeded, and this is the case, and also to check that the deployment happens through the agent, even if we already checked that there were some logs, we can ask Humanitec to give us the list of active resources in this environment for the application agent app and environment development. And as expected, we can see that there is a resource with type agent among the active resources in this environment. So I think that everything is fine now. The agent is running, the application has been deployed, so we are ready to say goodbye and thank you for your attention and see you at the next demo.